Hey everybody, how you doing tonight? It's me, Mike from IncrediCon and IncrediChat. Welcome with us tonight. We've got a wonderful guest tonight. We're very, very excited. Really a window into all of our childhood. We grew up with her on the two great shows, Punky Brewster and Family Matters. So we're not going to waste any time at all. I know we've already got a bunch of people who are watching us. So everybody who is in there already, thank you. And then we're going to do live on Instagram in a minute. But please welcome to tonight's IncrediChat, Punky's pal, Cherie Johnson, right?
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
No, this, like I said, this is exciting. You and I were talking a little bit before. I mean, the world grew up watching you. So, you and Punky are like best friends together, but also best friends to everybody else. I'm going to try and get us for those of us though on Facebook. I'm going to try and get us started here on Instagram, so we can grab that audience too. But well, that says I'm now live on there. So hey, Instagram people, Cherie's going to try and join us on here too. We should be okay to do that. Actually, because I'm now live on there, so hey,
I'm gonna have to turn that.
We've got to mute ourselves. No worries. Cool. Yes, and I will invite Cherie over here to join. And cool, we should be good to go there. So, did you get the request over there?
I sent you a request,
and I sent you one too. All right. There we go. So hopefully one of us should pick it up.
I just got it. So there's a delay.
Okay, cool. So that's fine. But we have a bunch of people who are going to watch us over there. There we go. Beautiful. I'm going to get the sound down on that. Cool. So good. We're on both places. So Cherie, welcome again to IncrediChat. Sorry for those of you just joining us on both formats. We got a great bunch of people tonight. So, I mean, you can already see there's a bunch of love coming in for you. From both places here. So this is awesome. And guys watching, please make sure you follow and like IncrediCon on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And also Cherie
Johnson 75.
And the podcast is what?
It's Cherie's World Podcast.
Cherie's World Podcast. So make sure you're liking all of that stuff wherever you're watching. Like us both, because it's awesome. So yeah, so Philip Campbell, he's saying hello tonight. He is a big fan of yours. Phoenix Moon, Sarah Jane Niase, Morgan Reese McCartan. So, and I mean, we have a ton of people already watching us on Instagram. So this is phenomenal. So Cherie, I mean, most people already know the story, but for those who don't know, how did you get into Punky Brewster? I know there's a cool little like family tie to that, right?
There is. This is my first Family Matter, actually, before Family Matter.
There you go.
The show was actually created from my uncle. My Uncle David used me as his muse to write this fun little kid show called Punky Brewster. He had no intention at all for me to ever play the character, but he wanted to name the character after me. Me being who I am is a little bit pushy, and I've never taken the word no just lightly and let it go. Yeah. So I was like, okay, so when do we audition? When do I go to work? And he was like, I go to work, but you don't. And long story short, after 7 auditions, the president of NBC said, okay, go ahead and give Eunice the job. So I got the job.
Well, and you know, like you said, a Family Matter, your uncle, right, created the show.
Yes.
And I guess Brandon Tartikoff, who was the president of NBC at the time,
yes.
That was based off. There was a real Punky Brewster, and I know there's a clip out there of Soleil's Punky meeting the real Punky.
Yes.
So I mean, what was that like? You know, you had never acted before, and you were now put onto this TV series. What kind of change was that like for you? Because was acting something that you wanted to do prior to that, or are you just like, I'm going to try this out, and then now that became the career?
You know, it was not something that I had ever done. It was not something I ever wanted to do, honestly. I never wanted to be an actor. I wanted to grow up and be an architect. But I loved my uncle, and I loved when he did Silver Spoons. I would go and I would watch Ricky Schroeder, and I would always be like, I can do that. I can do that. So I knew it was something that I could do just from watching Ricky do it, but I never thought that it was going to be my career, honestly.
Gotcha. I just see we're echoing. I fixed the sound a little bit on my end too, so we're good.
Let me try on mine. Is that better?
Yes, cool. I think so. We got to thank you. Good. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Yeah. So, I mean, and I guess you got bitten with the acting bug after Punky, and I mean, certainly the two adults on the show with you guys. I mean, George Gaines by far. What a classy actor he was. Anyways, yes. And he was a musician as well. So what was it like working with him and Betty Garrett, right?
Susie Garrett,
who played
Betty.
What were they like with? I mean, they had these 4 co-stars as kids, and did you guys drive them crazy?
George was so incredibly kind and patient. We did not drive him crazy. Like, he was okay with the chaos, which is kind of like, I don't know, you would expect for him to be a little uptight, but he really wasn't. He was the sweetest pie. He just kind of looked at us and watched us run wild and kind of encouraged it and laughed about it. And then Susie Garrett was my grandmother. Mm-hmm. Like, not my real grandmother, but I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So at the time, my grandmother was living in Pittsburgh, mm-hmm. and I was living in California. And I missed my grandma so much. Susie really stepped in and just became grandma.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like going to grandma's house. You never get on grandma's nerves. Everything you do is perfect. So they were 2 wonderful, wonderful, kind, smart, very talented people.
Yeah. And I mean, and George had like this incredible operatic singing voice too. I've seen some videos of him and like, wow.
Yes, he could sing a lot. And we got to watch him sing on the show sometimes, which was awesome.
Got you. Now I'm gonna ask you a silly question about George, because again, we grew up in the same time period, right? Around the same time as he's doing this wholesome, lovey-dovey Punky Brewster show, he was doing those more adult Police Academy movies. Like, did you, like, I guess as you guys got older, you probably got to see some of those, but
we got to see them then.
Oh my God.
Our parents are kind of like, Soleil and my mom is kind of like cool, because I think we grew up in the industry. So we watched horror films. We watched George. Gotcha. We supported everybody who we loved. And it wasn't really a big deal because we knew it wasn't real. We knew it was, you know, acting.
So
we saw them.
No, that's funny. I didn't see him until a little bit later, but I was like, hey, that's the guy from Punky Brewster. So you're on this hit show, and again, you know, you've never done this before. What was it like being put into oh geez, something just happened on my phone. What was it like being recognized out and about in the real world now too? Because I mean, you guys were all very recognizable. You were all over the place. We were talking about the marketing of Punky Brewster. Did you get like you go out to the mall, or what was even school when you were off? What was that like?
You know what? I felt like we had friends everywhere. I was a kid, so I didn't really understand it. It was kind of like being in school. I thought we were popular, you know, and I just was like, people would say, hey, Cherie, and I'd be like, hey, how you doing? I might not have known their name, but I thought they were my friends. Well, I'm playing with the volume here, so you see me because I have a feedback.
All right.
I'm not sure. I can't turn the volume off on my phone because it doesn't go off, but I can turn it off on my computer.
Is this better? I think I might be better now.
I can hear you now, but I hear you through my phone.
All right. No, sorry about that. Everything should be good now. But what was I gonna say? Outside of that too, I mean, you know, we just look at. I'm gonna pull up this one picture here, and this is from the new series too. But it's and you've probably seen this picture going around here. The friendships you probably formed from life were with Soleil and Amy and Casey. Now, because I know Amy was on the new series. Did they approach Casey about coming, or maybe we'll see him in a season 2?
You might see him in a season 2. I honestly don't know who was approached, or because I don't work on the production side.
Yeah.
I do know that production asked me for his phone number.
Oh.
So I don't know what that means, but I know that he was working. Casey's a gaffer or a grip. I think he's a gaffer. And so he was booked. I keep trying to get him to do Cherie's World podcast, but I can't catch him on a night when he's not working.
That is great. Now let me ask you guys, because we'll start talking about the news show too. Did you guys have that all completed prior to the pandemic, or did you guys have to go back and do some afterwards?
No, we worked during the pandemic. We did the pilot 2019, and then we found out February of 2020 that we got picked up for a season. We thought we were going to go back to work that April, and then COVID. And so we didn't get to go back to work until September. They brought us in, well, they brought me in because I no longer live in LA for 14 days, and I had to basically quarantine. And then we started the beginning of October, and we worked October through December, pretty much nonstop, to get the shows out there to you guys.
Wow. And I mean, obviously, I mean, they probably did tons of testing, like on a day, probably more than once a day, right?
Sometimes we tested 2 times a day, but we tested at least once a day. And we were hubbed. We weren't allowed to like be out and about. So 200 people really buckled down to bring you guys these shows. We were COVID tested daily. And then we were sent to our trailers, and we were not allowed to come out until our COVID test came back negative.
Oh, wow. Wow. So it's a lot different than what a normal television or movie set is like then. Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Even though we were COVID tested and everything, we were masked, and we had on a shield daily, and we still stayed 6 feet away from each other, even during rehearsals. And rehearsals were different. There's something called like a run through and a producer's run through. Yeah. Well, now everything was done on camera because the producers aren't allowed to come down on the set. The network was not allowed to come down on the set. So we were actually yelling at each other from across the room with mask and shield on so the producers could try to hear us.
Gotcha.
It was wild, but we made it work.
Now, I mean, what was it? Well, I mean, let's go back to the pilot. When they told you guys were going to come back and do a Punky reboot, like what did you think at first when they said about that?
Well, I didn't. I found out when social media found out. Like, I didn't think that it was real because social media has been talking for so long about the Family Matters reboot that nobody has said anything about but fans. So I just thought that it was like a rumor that somebody started. And then about an hour later, Soleil called me and she was like, "Boo, did you hear? We're coming back." And I was like, "Wait, it's real?" And she's like, "Will you come back?" I was like, "Of course I'll come back." So I was really excited. My uncle and Soleil had signed like non-disclosure agreements. And my uncle really thought that Soleil was going to sneak and tell me. And Soleil really thought that my uncle was going to sneak and tell me. But nobody told me anything.
I can't believe your uncle wouldn't even tell you that.
Which is better. No, they did right because I'd have been like in Walmart. And the second somebody said, "Aren't you the girl from Punky Brewster?" I'd have been like, "Boom, did you hear we coming back?" So they did the right thing.
And I mean, the way that they recreated the set, I mean, obviously they updated the apartment, but I mean, when you guys walked on it for that first time, what was it like? Because I mean, it's the same place.
Have you ever like gone away to college and you might not have come home for Christmas or Thanksgiving for a while? And that feeling you get when you walk in the door of home that you let out like that exhale? Yeah. So the exhale came out and then the tears came out 2 seconds later, that it was just like such gratitude. Never in my life did I even realize that I wanted to go back into this. So it was like the biggest gift I never knew that I wanted. It was surreal. It's still surreal.
You know, and I mean, I think probably one of the best parts of this new show too, in honoring of the old show. I mean, the Treehouse is phenomenal. I just watched the shows again with my girlfriend, who's from England, has never seen Punky Brewster before. Wow. So but the Treehouse episode, I thought that was a really great episode. And then just the fact like they have that picture of Henry hanging up in the in the living room. I mean, he's always that present in every scene, really there. Yeah. And I loved that montage that they did after you guys had built the treehouse, you know, but because it brought you back with the song and everything going. Let me ask you about, because I mean, you guys really hit a lot of the things going on in our world today. As an educator, I mean, I'm definitely for kids and supporting kids. There are so many kids that need homes and foster programs, and I'm so glad that they went that route once again with it, because there is sometimes a rep about kids that don't have homes, and to see there are great kids out there that need people like Cherie, like Punky, in their corner fighting them. I really thought that's a great message, which continues from the original show, but then also the relationship that you have as well now. How did that evolve? Because that's another, very, sign of the times now. Like back in 1984, 85, when that show was on, they really weren't talking about,
about orphans,
relationships like that. So what was that like, and doing it the proper way, so it wasn't kind of like a shock and wow factor on a show like this?
Oh, you're talking about the fact that I'm queer?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm lost. I'm still stuck on the fact that I'm a social worker.
Oh, well, no, well, I think that's no. I mean, all that stuff, and we could talk about Cherie, but yeah. So I mean, you're getting married at the end of the season, or
yes,
you're engaged.
No spoilers. If you haven't seen it, don't listen to this part. But yes, I am in a queer relationship. I am in love with this woman named Lauren, who is a lawyer. So I definitely am dating up. And at the end of the season, I decide that, this is who I want to spend the rest of my life with. It was important for me, a couple things. When the producers came to me with the idea, first they wanted to know if I would be okay with the idea. I was ecstatic because representation really matters. And representation matters so much from someone who you've grown up with, someone who you've loved your whole life. And now you might find out that they live their life a different way that you live your life. And you have to decide how you're going to feel about it, right? And really, whichever way you decide to feel about it is more reflection on you than on Cherie. Yeah. And so I was really excited, being one of the only Black girls on TV at the time. It was important for me that they pick somebody who I said, I know this is like very shallow, but I said, look, don't give me anything stereotypical. I need a baddie. And they were like, the room got quiet, right? Because guys didn't know what to say. They were just like, what do you mean? I said, from hearing so many boys say, you were my first crush, I love you. I think if they didn't give me Waldo, right? And if they didn't give me Eddie, what man was ever going to be good enough to date or marry Cherie? So what I need for you to do is give me somebody beautiful and not stereotypical where we have one maybe stud and one lipstick. You have us be both lipstick. And now the guys have two people to love instead of one. That was important to me. And the producers did a great job. Because Jessica Nicole is gorgeous and she's sweet and she's nice. But I said Jessica Lynn, I gave her my daughter's middle name real quick. I don't know where that came from.
but the nice thing about it too is there, like you said, there was no explanation. It's either like you accept it or you don't accept it. Well,
I mean, how do we explain? First of all, if you know anything,
you don't have to explain it. That's the thing.
Yeah, if you know anything about Cherie, she ain't never been in nobody's closet.
Yeah.
She does not like small places. I don't play after the refrigerator. So that was the option, And then Punky is my best friend. So it's not like I have to explain to her. She already knows.
Exactly. And I think for the audience, like it was just good. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. That's it. Yeah. And then I think even, again, representation, the episode about Punky's son, Diego, again, a great episode, and it's just like, let him be who he is, because that's the whole message of the original show is Punky is who Punky is, and kids today are like Diego, and let them be who they are. You don't have to label anything, and when they're ready, they're going to make that decision for themselves. And I think, again, another powerful message for kids, for families to see, for kids to see, and for adults to see at that point as well.
Absolutely.
And then going back to the social worker thing, what did you think about Cherie's career as a social worker now? Because you did mention that.
Well, I have a huge, my weakness is children. So anytime I go to do a charity or anything, and you guys are probably like, why is she looking? I'm looking at two different cameras.
I know, I'm doing the same thing too.
Okay. So I was definitely inspired by my best friend who grew up, going through the system. that I wanted to go in and change children's worlds and give them nice, safe homes. Because that's what I grew up when, that's where my best friend comes from. So she inspired me to stick with it, and sometimes help me out and open her doors and take them babies, because that's how she got Diego and Daniel as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
they had a bright idea, needed her homegirl to help her out. And she's willing to, of course, because that's who Punky is.
Yeah, and again, it's that strong relationship between Punky and Cherie that once again carries into this show. So I do want to like go into some of the other things that you did, and I mean, since we're on this, yes, and Sarah Jean just asked me on the bottom here. Yes, that's why I wanted to ask, because we were talking about this beforehand. Again, growing up in the 80s, Saturday mornings were a big thing. So what was it like for you? Because I know we have some fans who love cartoons that watch this. What was it like for you to be immortalized in animation? And what were those recording sessions like, working with, like you mentioned, Frank Welker, who was the voice of Blomer? Like you have these again, voice professionals, and I mean, for anybody who watches us and just knows cartoons, Frank Welker is on every single cartoon. I think in Hollywood, he's like the one actor that's had the most roles in history. He's in everything, just making lion noises or bug noises or monkey noise, whatever he's doing. So, and here you kids are, because here you are on-screen actors, and you even who were just starting as an on-screen actor, now you're becoming voice actors. What was that like, getting you all in there to recording booth to make these episodes?
It was so fun. In the 80s, when you saw music videos and stuff, you always saw people in the recording studio, because that was like the in thing to record then. So that was like our form of being rock stars. We would be working during the week, and then they would like whisk us off from the Punky set actually to go and do the cartoon at Hanna-Barbera. Mm-hmm. And they would put, a lot of times it would be Amy and I, or Soleil and I, or all three of us in the booth together, and we got to just do our lines together, and it really went quickly. It was a lot of fun. For us, it was like we didn't have to be on camera, but you heard us, but we still got to be together, so we goofed off a lot in the booth and just played. It was like giving us playtime to go in the studio and hear our own voices, and they played stuff back, and they taught us, how they made the cartoon move and stuff. It was amazing. You have to remember, we were kids who watched cartoons. So being a cartoon was kind of cool.
And certainly, like you mentioned, you went and were doing that over at Hanna-Barbera, and the fact that and some people are just writing about like the animations look so much like you from the original. And I think they did do good likenesses of all you guys on the show too.
Yeah, it's funny.
But I mean, it must have been very surreal, again, being like 10, 11 years old, right? Going into Hanna-Barbera, which they were the kings of Saturday mornings with like Scooby-Doo and Yogi Bear and all that stuff, to like, and then Saturday goes on, and there you are as a cartoon Saturdays. That must have been surreal.
Well, I don't think I ever really watched it too much, honestly, because that was my playtime. I worked Monday through Friday. So after I was done watching like the Gummy Bears and the Snorks and the Smurfs, I was probably outside when Punky came on, because it was like, I'm not going to sit through this. I'm getting on my bike,
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the cartoon even lasted a little bit after the live action series, or at least they had it playing still, if I'm not mistaken.
I have no recollection. I was a kid. It's like, it's so funny. It's like I remember snippets of things, but it's almost like watching someone else's life. Gotcha.
And I just want to pull up, and guys, if anybody has this, I shared this with Cherie before, but yeah, this was the Cherie action figure, folks. If you have not seen it, folks on Facebook are seeing this. But yeah, so if any help find these things. They're great out there. But we have a couple of questions now coming in here. I see some stuff from Instagram, and then some stuff from Facebook and YouTube. Somebody was talking about working with kids. They wanted to know, are you open to, do you coach kids on acting, or is that something that you're open to doing at some point in time?
I used to work at an acting school. I no longer work there because of COVID, and I moved out of California, but I do teach virtually. I totally am open to teaching children after I have a conversation with them. I need to feel the vibe of the kids, and I'm not going to say exactly what I ask the kids because I don't want parents coaching them. I will teach children who really want to do this. I won't teach children whose parents are trying to live vicariously through them.
Got you.
And if I get that,
well, I mean, and on that same note, like for aspiring child actors, and I don't know, because I mean, you probably had a lot of stuff thrown at you as a kid, you know, just this fame all of a sudden. So for young people that want to get into acting, like what's some advice that you could maybe to give them, you know, making this career choice, this pathway?
The first thing I will tell you is that you hear way more no's than you hear yeses. Statistically, you get one job out of 100 auditions. So just because one door closes, don't think that another one won't open. And don't ever give up. If it's your dream and if it's what you really want, sit back, manifest it. Picture yourself actually doing it, and you will. Sometimes it's just a matter of time.
No, and that's I think that's good advice for really any career. But I mean, like you said, you're going to hear a lot more no's than you are yeses, and that's really any career. As an educator myself, any career in the arts, any career in sports, that is something that you have to get used to. But use rejection in a positive manner. You know, take that feedback, and how is that going to then shape what you're going to do the next time?
Well, even as an actor, a lot of the time they don't give you any feedback. Yeah. So it's not, oh, you didn't get the job because you weren't a good actor. Sometimes you didn't get the job just because you didn't look exactly how they wanted you to. It's not that you weren't the best actor. There's only 3 things that you can control in an audition, and a lot of people don't know that. Be on time, be polite, and be prepared. Besides from that, once you walk in that door, you don't control nothing. It is just about the vision that the writer or the producer or somebody had when you did your read, so you can't take it personal. And they don't call you when you don't get the job. They only call you if you get the job. So after you leave that audition, walk out of there and just let it go.
Yeah, and if they call you back, then fantastic, then, right?
Yes, and if they don't get frustrated if they keep calling you back. That's a good thing. I went in 7 times for Punky. This other job, I actually auditioned for a year on and off. So don't be like, I already been here 4 times. They know if they like me or not. No, they don't know. That's why they're calling me back. So go ahead and go. What a good attitude.
And I guess even if you're getting called back too, that's a good sign, like you said, because there's something about you that they're like, we want to see this person again and make that decision.
Absolutely.
So now, I mean, we talked about Punky. Let's talk about the other show that you were on, because there's a lot of fans for that too, Family Matters. So Punky ended, the live action, the cartoon ended, and then you kind of got over to Family Matters. What was that process like? And I mean, certainly a different kind of show, you know, a bigger cast. So how did you get into Family Matters, and what can you tell us about that show?
Well, when I went on my first audition, they actually did call my agent back and they said, we really like her, but she has braces, and this character, we don't really want her to have braces. So I went in the bathroom, and I'm not advising this because my mother is still mad at me, and I'm 45 years old. I took the toner clippers and I took the plastic, like little rubber bands off my teeth and popped the wire out and popped like the top, because my teeth are really big, so you can't really see the bottom. I popped the top braces off, and I called my agent back and I said, can I go back in? And I asked my mom, could I go back in? My mom was pissed. My mom was like, those cost me $5,000. But I went back in without my braces on, and I got the job.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to compliment you. You know, you're smiling right now. You know, as a little kid, like you know, you have one of those smiles that just has always stood out. You know, like
I got some really big chompers.
But you know, everybody remembers you, and again, this great smile from you. So you know, that was one of the things that we all remember. You know, you look at all those old pictures from Punky and this smile. You know.
And my teeth are still crooked, and my teeth are still crooked, and my mom is still mad.
But you know what? The camera doesn't go into your mouth, so don't worry about it, right?
I'm not. My dentist asks me every time I sit in the chair, do you want to get like Invisalign? I'm like, dude, they've been like this my whole life. I'm good.
The cast of Family Matters, because then some people are asking about Reginald Johnson and
Yeah.
obviously Jaleel White. What was it like working with them? Because again, another great ensemble cast of actors.
The cast is amazing. They say Family Matters. It's kind of exactly what it was. We all grew up together. You know, Reggie was kind and sweet, and he was like he was our George Gaines from. He had to tolerate all these kids. Joe Marie and the other mom, the new mom who came in. We had 3 wonderful adults that were there and like fostering all these young little minds. And the cast, the kids, they're like my brothers and sisters. We grew up together.
No, and again, I like what you're saying there about the fostering of these young minds, like Punky Brewster, Family Matters, and other folks that I've talked to who were working with older actors, whether really seasoned actors or they were young actors like yourselves who are working with adults. That's one of the great things is like some of these people have just taken their younger cast under their wings and really show them the ropes of how to do things. Really.
Not even just. It's a teaching time, but it's also like a nurturing, fun time because as a kid, you're not supposed to work. So I was blessed to work on shows that allowed us to be kids, especially Punky. We were young, we were spunky, we played, we rode our bikes to our marks. And then like a stage manager would take our bike away off the set. They allowed us to be children. And because we had that experience and we were allowed to be kids is the only reason why I'm still working today. So it's important for me when kids are on the set with me that they're allowed to be children and they're allowed to have fun because kids don't have to work if they don't want to. And this should be a great experience for everybody.
Now, and let me ask you about that too. Like you're saying, the experience of being on the set. Like what was schooling like? Did you for both Punky and for Family Matters, did you do a set on school or did you spend part of the year in your home school and then vice versa? How did that work?
So we had a tutor. Our tutor her name is Ruth Ann Cruder Brown. She was my tutor on Family Matters and on Punky Brewster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Ruth Ann came with me. She wasn't the first tutor that was on Family Matters, but she ended up being there for me. And we worked 3 weeks and we were off 1 week. So the 1 week that we were off, I went back to my regular school. And the weeks that we were working, I was tutored with Ruth Ann from my work from school.
Interesting. Yeah. And what was the workload for, and again, for anybody who was asking about being a child actor, what was the workload like? Because obviously you have to memorize, where you're standing on the set, what your scripts are and all that. How did that go on top of everything else that you had to do school-wise, learning the regular academics?
It's a lot. It's a lot, but you only go to school about 4 hours a day when you're on the set. So the work that kids do with the whole 8 hours that they're in school, you have to complete it in 4 and then know your lines and be ready to work. So it's a lot.
And then of course, I mean, obviously there's like the certain amount of hours that you can do as an actor until a certain age too. So making sure you're doing all those things within that allocated amount of time as well.
Yes. And then by the time you go home, it's time for dinner and bed and then wake up and do it all over again.
Wow. And it's one thing that I always share with students that I work with is the idea of a lot of kids, and this goes for acting, this goes for music, this goes for sports. Like there is the idolized, glamorous, like, oh, I'm famous kind of lifestyle in it. But a lot of young people don't always realize that it is work. Like it's called showbiz for a while, right?
Well, let me explain. Soleil nor I really knew what fame was until we were like in our 30s. We knew we were popular. I still would never say like famous is for like Michael Jackson, Beyonce, Dr. Dre, like they're famous, right? We're just, us because we the homies.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, and certainly the time like when we grew up as opposed to now where like everything is social media in your face, like a lot of kids see like that in your face fame thing. And they don't realize like there's a process to get there, like you were mentioning about with the auditioning and stuff.
It's a lot of work.
And even the academic aspect is still so important. I'm sure when you were doing both shows, like, you know, you had to maintain a certain average in school.
You have to maintain like a B average, I believe, in school to have your work permit. If you slip below and get like a low C, they could take your work permit away and you don't get to work anymore.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone on Instagram just said, "What? You all's famous."
But we didn't know, like, that's weird. You know, I say we're popular because we weren't in movies. Like movies, you have to leave your house and go see. It's a whole ordeal. You ate dinner with us. You went to the bathroom still hearing our voice. Like we were in your house. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different. And then we didn't know what fame was until paparazzi did not have a job title then. Paparazzi didn't have a job title until the 2000s. So there was a show called Celebrities Uncensored, which was the first TMZ. That was really my first take of, whoa. I came out of the club with my homegirl, and thank God Andy Dick came down behind me. And Andy Dick is a fool. So the camera was only on me for a second while I was trying to rush and get to my car. And then Andy Dick was acting up. So they ran to him. And I was so thankful. When I came down, my heart was racing. And I was very uncomfortable. Like I just wanted to get in my car and leave.
Yeah.
Honestly. I'm not comfortable with the whole paparazzi situation. It's one of the reasons why I left California.
Gotcha.
Because I lived in this nice, quiet neighborhood, and then this whole family called the Kardashians turned my little neighborhood out.
Oh my God.
The paparazzi didn't used to be there, but then it was like, you know, going to the grocery store was like an ordeal, and I had a baby, and it just, I'm not comfortable with it.
Yep. No, absolutely. And you know, someone just posted here, before the 2000s, they were just stalkers. Now they've made a career out of likely stalking and gossiping. And that is a weird thing. I couldn't imagine what that would be like. And
that is what they do. Like we had signs that were put on the bottom of our street saying, you know, no soliciting. If a residence doesn't know that you're coming, you can be arrested, because what they started doing was parking white vans and stuff, like surveillance vans, and cars outside of your house waiting for you to walk outside. Who wants to live like that? Like, I didn't sign up for that. And some people think, well, that's your job. That's what you signed up for. No. I don't have a publicist, okay? If you have a publicist and your publicist is playing that publicity game, that's one thing. But I don't have a publicist. I didn't sign up for that. I'm not paying $5,000 to stay in nobody's magazines. I don't want my picture taken all the time. It was just really uncomfortable for me. It was a little bit too much.
And again, like you said, because I definitely want to talk about your daughter and her book, but again, like, you know, having a little child, you know, and having people outside like that's just not cool either. So,
it doesn't make me feel safe. You know, all of a sudden, I did not announce that I was pregnant. And a lot of people are like, why didn't you say anything? I was put on bed rest for 7 months, and I was told that I might not make it and my daughter might not make it. Wow. So if something happened, I didn't want to have to explain to the world, you know. But while you're going through this, there's cameras and people are sending presents to your house that shouldn't even know you. It's a very invasive. And I tried to hide my daughter, and it worked for like 6 years. I kept her off the internet as long as I could, until she told me, Mommy, let me live my dreams. Yeah.
No, it's, you know, and again, it's you know, the scary, that again, that's the scary part of celebrity, that a lot, and again, I say this working with kids, a lot of the young people don't realize what that side of it is. Like they think it's just the glitz, glamour, and money. And it's not always the glitz, glamour, and money.
No, it's weird. Every 5 years since I was 7 years old, I've had a stalker.
Oh my God.
About every 10 years, my life is threatened. A stalker threatens to kill you. So I lived a lot of years where I moved every 5 years because I was trying not to be found. And then I had a guy actually come to my house, and he unscrewed the sensor lights in my backyard. So he busted did it during the day. And when he came back at night, I felt weird. I was on the phone with my friend's boyfriend at the time, Watani. And I said, Watani, I feel like somebody's watching me. And he said, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. He said, let the dog in. So I had a pit bull. I had let my dog from the garage into my house, and my dog started going wild.
Yeah.
I ended up looking out the window, and I snuck like to the bathroom window because I had a little window at the top of my bath. So I'm standing on the top of the tub, and when I stood out to look, he was looking at me. Wow. Which I screamed, and I hit the alarm button, and Watani was like, don't get off the phone. And when the cops came, they were like, why didn't your lights come on? You have lights all over your backyard. And I was like, I don't know. One of the cops reached up and he screwed them back in. So the guy had unscrewed them.
Wow.
Yeah. It's scary. I don't want that for my kid.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So, wow. That guy, no, that is not good.
No, and I'm not like Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? So imagine with Beyonce and Britney Spears and like Kim Kardashian and they go through, and then people are so mean to people's children. My kid is not a celebrity kid. She's just a kid. Yeah. And so I didn't want that for her.
No, and again, it's one thing. It's one thing, like if, like you said, you're going through Walmart and somebody recognizes you, and someone's like, "Hey, you're Cherie," and snaps a selfie or what have you. I'm knocking on your door. That's
a little too much.
Above and beyond. Yeah, no, absolutely. Wow. So on a lighter note, no. But it's true, and people need to hear that if they're looking to get a job in acting and things like that. That's if you're in the public eye, you expose yourself to those kind of things, and also you have to know that you have to set boundaries.
I think I've done a decent job with letting people know I am not who you see on TV.
Yeah.
So there's separate people here, and I'm human. So please treat me human, and I'll treat you human. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So going back to Family Matters, obviously you've kept in contact with the cast of Punky. This is because now we've opened the door. People want to know: do you still talk with people from Family Matters, and what are the possibilities of any kind of reunion? I mean, you said there were rumors, but have you ever heard anything serious?
No, I only hear it on the internet. I only hear it from you guys in my inbox talking about when y'all gonna do. Like, I have any pool. First of all, I wasn't even a regular. I'm just a reoccurring role. Okay, so even if they did a reboot, I don't know if I'd be invited.
No, I don't want to.
Let's be real. So Darius and I are very close, and Darius has gone on record saying if they do a reboot, I ain't got no choice but to come back. And I playfully call Darius my husband. So whatever my husband tells me I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do.
And maybe you guys will be married in
you never know. And then Sean, the guy who played Waldo, that was my friend on Punky Brewster. He played Grinaldi or something like that. And so I've known him since I was like 8 years old. That's going to be my friend forever. Kelly and I don't talk as much as we used to because we got families and kids and stuff.
Yeah.
But when we do, we pick right back up where we left off. That's going to be my homegirl for life.
Yeah.
So they're my family. The little boy who plays Brighton and I actually got to do a movie together.
Oh, wow.
And that's my little love of all loves. Even though he's a grown man now, he's still my baby.
Well, and you mentioned that about being grown man, like, again, watching this Punky thing and watching you guys, and then even seeing like Freddie Prinze Jr. and Seth Green and realizing like, wow, we're all in our 40s now.
Yeah.
Because again, we grew up together, right?
What a lot of people don't know is they say life comes full circle. Freddie's first acting job was on Family Matters.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So that's where Freddie and I first met.
Wow. And in regards to Sean, somebody did ask, and again, this will be a two-part question. Well, they want to know if he was also approached, if they reached out to you about contacting him for Punky, and has there been any word officially if there will be a season 2? Because someone asked that there's supposedly a sneak peek of season 2 somewhere.
Yeah, I heard that there was. We didn't shoot one. I could tell you that.
There you go.
We have no idea whether we got picked up or not. I would love for you guys to hound Peacock and ask them, because we don't know when we'll hear, if we'll hear. We're praying that we get to come back. Soleil and I are actually trying to manifest that we're going to get to do this like 8 seasons. We would be happy if Punky and Cherie had walkers and canes. And we were somebody's grandparents on the show. That would make us very happy. But I definitely think there's room for a spinoff. Like Hannah can go to college, Quinny can go to prom. Like there's room for us to grow.
Yeah. I mean, and I mean, and at the way it ended, I won't go any more spoilers, but I mean, that's a nice little bookend to things. But like you said, there's an opening there too. There's so much, and again, like that last shot of there's Henry, and then there's you guys, and I think that is like so powerful because comes the best of both worlds right there at that.
Talking about the end, I didn't even realize that Soleil or Punky and Cherie get up and take each other's hands and walk out to the kitchen.
I didn't notice
at the end of I didn't notice it until I watched it, and I started crying again because it was so natural. Like I just got it from the couch and grabbed her and like pulled her in the kitchen because that's us as real friends, and there's an element that actually the cut made the show. And I was sitting down watching it, and I was like, wow. I pray that we get to come back a second season, but if we don't, what a beautiful way to end the season.
Yeah.
It's her and I walking off together.
Well, it's a genuine friendship, and I'm gonna go out and say probably. I mean, obviously you had Freddie there with you guys too, and with him and the kids, probably that sense of family came together too by the time you guys were done filming. It had been in this weird time.
By the time, are you kidding? We shot the pilot a year prior to actually being able to do it. So like we were missing the kids. Like we were waiting to get back to play with the kids. Those are my nieces and nephews, and that relationship will last far beyond, not the spirit of Punky, but for the rest of my life, as long as I'm alive. Those are my babies.
Yeah. And honestly, what an advantage for those kids to have with you, Soleil and Freddie, who have done the child acting, into where we are now. To have you now teach them the process for their careers and nurture them.
I don't know that we're teaching them. These are like little professionals. They're kind of teaching us a lot. We're learning from them for sure. We joke on the set because it's like, who's more mature? Soleil, well, definitely Freddie. Okay, Freddie doesn't even count on this because Freddie sits there like this. And it's like me or Soleil are the kids. The kids win by far every time. They're very professional. Soleil and I really don't think we're working. We are just like having fun, and there happens to be cameras there watching us. But you see that in the way you and her interact. I snapped a couple of pictures while watching it to put up on Instagram, and you guys, when you see like the still photos of it, like just your interactions together, like it is so natural. It's not acting for the two. It's not acting for us, and it's so crazy because like Soleil and I will have this conversation, and then we wake up and we go to the table reading the next morning. I'm like, wait, did you tell them what we were talking about? And she's like, no, I didn't say anything. I thought you said something. Like our lives are playing out in the script. So the writers are doing such a great job, like honing in on to what's going on today, to who we are as people, to the point where Soleil and I laughed because I don't know if they kept it in the show, but there's a scene where we go to the club and we order a drink, and the drink happens to be our drink. And I'm like, wait a minute, how would they know our drink? And just like every little thing like that, it's elements of who we really are and our real life. Like when I walk into Soleil's house in real life, I'm eating the whole, she's like always feeding me. She always has snacks out. She's got a crazy house with a bunch of kids. So she's used to feeding people, but I'm a huge eater. And so when I walk in, she's always like, here, I made you this spread. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And when I walk into the set, if you remember Cherie when she was little, she was always eating.
Yeah.
It's probably because I was walking on set with a bagel and they were just so nice. They didn't take it from me. They just they keep it. So that's has remained a part of the show. Like if you watch the shows, when I walk in the house, I'm eating.
There's nothing wrong with that. And what was it? Oh, one other Easter egg too that I noticed, and maybe you can explain why they did or didn't. So in that opening credit scene, that little quick montage, you have your headband on.
Yeah,
And I noticed that, and because I even said to my girlfriend, I'm like, oh look, and it was like a couple episodes in, I'm like, oh look, she's wearing her headband, and she's like, which one? I'm like, no, not that one, because you had the other, the regular headbands. I was like, I'm sorry. Then for the rest of the show, I'm watching to see if you had the other headband on.
Well, I will say there will always be something on my head, whether it's like a sparkly like ponytail holder or the headband scarf thing or the headband on my forehead. I can't let it go. And it's so funny. Mona May is our costume designer. Mona May is genius. Mona May was like, okay, so tell me about Cherie. They really wanted to make me like a little bit more grown up. Mona was like, well, I want to put you in these suits and you know, you're a social worker. And I was like, Mona, Cherie is jeans and t-shirts. You might put a blazer on her every once in a while. And she got a headband. Mona was like, you don't think she moved away from? And I was like, no, that's the one thing that the audience kept asking, is she going to have on her headband? So yeah, I'm going to pop on some headbands.
Well, I mean, and going back to that cartoon, you really think about the design of the character. She was wearing that headband.
Yeah, I mean, and it was me. What a lot of people don't realize is I wore that headband in kindergarten.
Oh, wow, really?
My mom didn't know. It was my uncle's, and it had feathers that hung down, but I still have a picture of me when I was like in kindergarten, standing there with my jeans and my t-shirt on with my headband on. So it was a part of who I was, or who I am, for sure.
Somebody over on Instagram just commented. She wrote, and this is from Heather Lynn. She said, I love how Cherie used to cross her eyes when she was love struck. She wishes you had done that with your new relationship.
Well, hopefully it's not over, and maybe I'll get to. That's funny.
But yeah, no, so it's really good. And we're coming to the end of this now. I just want to go over and talk a little bit quickly about the podcast, Cherie's World Podcast. How did that evolve, and what can people look for on that too?
Cherie's World Podcast came from my co-host, Courtney. He's the producer and he's the co-host. He actually interviewed me, and he said one day, you know, you should have your own podcast. And I said, cool, produce it. Never really thought he was going to come through and produce it. And he said, are you kidding me? He was like, you know, I think people really want to know you and get to be a part of your world. And that's where world came from. And I said, I have boundaries, you know, so I've never said yes to a reality show, because first of all, reality shows aren't real. No, reality. So I'm not going to let them script a life for me, and you guys think that's how I live, and I'm not embarrassing myself. I don't throw drinks at my girlfriends. We don't argue. I don't live like that. So I'm not going to do that on TV for anybody's entertainment. So I was like, well, it is a way to let you in my home. I do it from my kitchen most of the time because I'm cooking dinner while I'm doing the show. And it's my way to let you guys in and let you know what's going on in my world and what subjects are touching my heart that week and how I feel.
Yeah, no, and again, for folks who haven't watched it, I mean, you really touch everything. What was that? You were doing one. Oh my God, there's one I was watching a few weeks ago, and it was about or it's either Cherie's World or you were on another one, and you guys were talking about vegetables and kids. I forget what it was offhand.
Oh, it was probably my daughter in her book.
Yeah,
that's probably where it came from. My daughter has a book called Cucumbers Are Delicious.
Yes.
And yeah.
You guys, I forget what about hide. I think you were something about hide and no. Was it spinach? You were talking about spinach.
Oh, hiding it in her smoothies to make me not look like a bad mom and letting her think that she has ice cream for breakfast.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. And you're like, eat up. Have all the ice cream you want. There you go. That was like, that's great. But yeah, there's Cucumbers Are Delicious. And so if folks want to purchase that, I guess they can get that from therealcherie.com as well.
Yes, it is on there. She told me, I have been putting this book off for a couple years now, and she went to her Uncle Eric and asked her Uncle Eric to illustrate it. So that was her illustrator, and she paid him with her own money. Oh, wow. And she told me, Mommy, let me live my dreams. So this Black History Month, she made Black History. February 7th, her book was published.
Wow. That is awesome. No, and you know what? Like I have an 8-year-old, and you know it is so important to. I mean, outside of the vegetable thing, but it is important in this world of like FaceTime, especially now with technology to let kids be able to create in a way that's not in front of a computer, like on paper with markers, crayons, all that good stuff. So I applaud you for doing something like that with your daughter, because I think that is so important in our society today.
I think most children, you're a principal, they do write a book in elementary school. I think it's like 2nd grade or something, but most of them don't publish it. My daughter she's 6, but I homeschool by choice before COVID. So she's actually in the 4th grade because she's advanced.
Nice.
And she had written it.
Oh. Oh, we're just having a little bit of technical difficulties here. I don't know if you can hear me, Cherie. Sorry, folks, we're just having a little bit of technical. We just lost Cherie for a minute. Let me just see if she comes back. Yeah, guys, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Cherie froze up for a moment. She back yet? Nope, not yet. We'll just give her a minute to let me just we're back. Okay, we're back over on Instagram, I guess. Oh, we just lost her. Give her 1 second, folks, to wrap up. Again, apologize, but thank you for everybody on Instagram, and I'm not. It's just me right now, folks. Sorry about that. I'm gonna close out the Instagram for a minute. Oh, let me see if I get Cherie on here. Hold on. Whoop. Hold on. Let me just see where she is. Sorry about this, folks. We just had a little technical difficulty here about that. Sorry. Thank you for the comments. Let me just see. Again. Just to close up. Well, sorry about this. Technical. Oh, there we go. Cool. Sorry, we lost you for a second.
No,
the world of technology. No worries. So, anyways, you were saying about your daughter and the book and the homeschooling. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I homeschool her, and it was actually an assignment when she wrote her first one. Now she has like 6 others written, and she wants to put them out. So we'll see. I might have a little author on my hands.
Yeah, no, and again, that is a great thing to do. And for everybody watching, go to therealcherie.com. I know Philip just said what happened. Social media can be bad like this. Go to therealcherie.com, and you can get the book. And then you said people can get other stuff from you there.
Somebody talked about my earrings. You can also find my earrings on the link. I have really sensitive ears, but I like big earrings because I was in love with Jodie Watley when I was little on Soul Train. So I always wanted really big earrings. Nice.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for joining us, Cherie. If you just want to hang out in a second after we wrap up for backstage. But again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again, everybody. I know Instagram shut down a few moments ago, but everybody watching on YouTube and Facebook, thank you so much. And again, thank you, Cherie,
for having me. It was really fun.
No, I mean, this was great. You know, I spent time, my girlfriend and I, we binge watch Punky, you know, and, you know, we spent time with you there. Now we're spending time with you here. It's crazy. But no, and again, and Tanisha, the name of the book, Tanisha, is called Cucumbers Are Delicious. And Tanisha actually runs a great book company called Our Story Bookstore.com. And I'll send you the link too, because your daughter's book would be a great place for her to advertise that as well.
Thank you.
So again, Cherie, thank you so much. And I'll talk with you in a second backstage. Folks, everybody, tune in next week. We've got Power Ranger, Karen Ashley, the Yellow Ranger. I don't know if you know Karen, but she'll be with us next week. So we'll see everybody next week on IncrediChat.